Hey, what's up everyone? Tim here from Everyday Tactical Vids, and we're doing a head-to-head review today of these two lights. It's the Thrunite TC12, and that is the cool white version, and that's going to go up against the Nitecore MH12. And both these are flashlights that to me are a nice size for everyday carry, lots of lumen output, and they're both USB rechargeable. So full disclosure, Thrunite did send me both these lights to do a head-to-head, which I always like just because it's not just one light by itself, but to give you a sense of some of the pluses and minuses of each light. So your price point for each of these is going to be around $65 up to $75. And I've seen a pretty broad price range depending on what you get them with. So you can get them with batteries, without batteries. You can get them with multiple batteries, with chargers, all kinds of extra things. But definitely $65 up to about $75 or $80 is the general price range for these two lights. All right, let's unbox them and see what's inside. First up, we have the Thrunite. So it comes in your standard Thrunite box. There's your flashlight. It's got the closed cell foam. Get this stuff out of the way. So we have flashlight. We have your instructions. We have some information from Thrunite, which I'll have to check this out. It basically says, hope you have a good experience with Thrunite. Contact us if you don't, essentially. Have a nice day. So there's that. Silica gel. Holster, which we'll talk about, but I don't ever use those. Here's your USB recharger. And then your lanyard, a couple extra switches, and a couple of O-rings. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty standard fare for most Thrunite things, other than the fact that you get the USB because this is USB rechargeable. So this is one of those micro USBs, and yeah, so I got nothing too fancy to say about this. There's that. I don't really use the lanyards. I keep the O-rings in case I need to have something like that in the future. Here's what your light looks like, and we'll do a close-up in a minute. Let's show you what it looks like in the actual holster. Holster's nice. They do, I would say, a decent job overall with their holsters. You do have the, looks like pretty heavy-duty plastic D-ring there, and then you're going to run your belt through there, so no hook and loop, no Velcro, other than here. And it does kind of have an elastic on the side, so that does stretch a little bit like that. This light, I actually carried this around today, and it does fit nicely into in a pair of Carpenter jeans or Carhartt, something like that. So, yep, that's that. And let's unbox the MH12 now. Here's your MH12. I do want to note that they did also send me this little keychain light from Nitecore, and then 2 CR123 batteries. So that's in addition to what we're going to get in the box here. So I'll open this up. That's everything in the box. Get this stuff out of the way. There's your sheath. A little bit more as far as your hook and loop, so you can run it up high or run it down low, but very similar. This does have Velcro on the back and also a spot to run your belt through. So a couple more options on the Nitecore than on the Thrunite. Got that nice hefty D-ring. You do get a lanyard, you get a couple extra switches, you get a tactical D-ring there, or a tactical ring. What else do we have in there? So lanyard, extra switches, D-ring, extra clip, or it is, I guess, the clip that we're going to put on there in a second. And that's it for there. Take the light out. Very firmly packaged inside there, very firmly packed. So there's that. Here's your micro USB. I do like the fact that they give you the little hook and loop. That's just nice to keep the cords organized. Some Nitecore warranty information there. Just take a quick look at the instructions. I found that Nitecore does a pretty good job with their instructions. There's the back, there's the front. I think Thrunite does a good job at kind of not giving you too much information, but giving you what you need to actually know. And then there's your light. So very, very similar as far as how they look, size, and now we're going to put them side to side and measure them and just talk through some of the basic specs, and we'll take them outside and use them. Okay, so just looking at them, you can see, I mean, very, very, very similar in size and shape and everything. I mean, basically, I would say these guys are exactly even as far as your size, your diameter, all those different things. I'll get the tape measure out here just to show you what exactly that looks like. So from end to end, you're talking almost exactly 5.5 inches, and then across the front, 1 inch, and that's true for both the TC12 and the MH12 from Nitecore. You do get a 3400 milliamp rechargeable with the TC12 from Thrunite, and I got a 3000 milliamp rechargeable from Nitecore, but again, this Nitecore gave me 2 extra CR123s as well. Here's some of your specs for the Nitecore. Your high is going to be 1000 lumens, your medium is 240, your low is 70, and then your lowest setting, which a lot of people call Firefly, is 1 lumen for that. As far as your Thrunite, let me look at the specs here. So 1000 lumens for the high, 1000 lumens for the turbo, 640 for high, 180 for medium, 28 for low, 0.4 for your Firefly setting, and then when you go to the strobe setting, it's going to give you 800 lumens. IPX8 rated for both lights. For the Thrunite, you can drop at 1 meter. For the Nitecore, you can drop at 1.5, so both impact resistant to that level. As far as your distance, 274 meters max for the Thrunite and 232 meter beam max for the Nitecore. Now, all those specs, as far as your lumens, your output, there's a lot of factors to consider in there. So I've used like a Streamlight Microstream, a Streamlight Stylus Pro, and because of the reflectors and how they're built and just a lot of other things, you can get something that may have higher lumen output but doesn't give you the beam that you actually want. So taking these out into the dark and testing them is definitely going to be the best way to see, how they actually work, how they actually function, and what we think about, what you actually think about it when you see the light. But again, size, shape, all those things. If you're like, oh, the TC12 is too big, then definitely the MH12 is going to be too big, and vice versa. As far as how you actually, if this is a light that you find comfortable to carry for an everyday carry light. One thing I like about both these lights is that you have your end cap switch to basically turn the power on, and then your selector switch. Now, for some people, they just want an end cap. Some people don't mind the tiny little lights like an O light has, but I prefer to be able to, take that light out, boom, just press the end cap, and my light is coming on. And then if I decide, hey, I want to adjust it, now I've got my mode switch to do that. You can see for both these lights, here's your little USB on the Thrunite. So that's your micro USB. You're gonna plug it in, tap your end cap switch, and then plug it into your USB. And then on this side for the Nitecore, pretty much the same function. It does say in the Thrunite paperwork that it's going to take you about 6 hours to fully charge that. And that's using a USB. I would assume, it doesn't give the details here, but off your computer. Certainly if you use a smart charger, it's going to charge it faster. You just got to be aware, whenever you're charging something like off the wall versus off the USB on your computer, you're putting a lot more power out of the wall than you are from your computer USB. So just be aware of that. That's pretty much it. As the specs, you see them, they're very similar. We're going to go out and test them, and then we can decide what we think about the overall performance between these two lights. First test of the lights, what we're looking at is my front door from inside the house, and it's about 20 feet away. So you can kind of make out a little bit of light there. Right now we're looking with the Nitecore at its lowest settings. You can see, a little bit of reflection there. You can see, you see a little bit of light coming off the walls there. You can see a little bit of light reflecting off the front door window there. So you can get that there. There's a little glimmer with the Thrunite. So on the camera, you can't really see a whole lot with the on the lowest setting. Let's go to the next setting with the Nitecore. So that's what that looks like. Next setting with the Thrunite. That's what that looks like. And here's side by side. So here's over here, it's your Thrunite. Over here is your Nitecore. Honestly, not a ton of difference. Let's now go to your next setting with your Nitecore. Definitely much brighter. You're getting some bluish glow there when you look at the door. Next setting with your Thrunite. I think it's pretty obvious that this one's a little bit dimmer than this to this. Nitecore, Thrunite. Let's go to the next setting with the Nitecore. There's your brightest setting, and that's starting to just wash the camera out. And then the next setting with the Thrunite, also starting to wash the camera out. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but now you click it again on the Nitecore. It's going to back down to your lowest setting. With the Thrunite, has an additional setting. So that is just blindingly bright inside. We're outside now, and I'm shining. You can see a little bit of reflection from the Nitecore shining off the window on my shed. And then you can see the same thing with the Thrunite. So on this lowest setting, you're really not getting a whole lot as far as what you can see on camera. Let's go to that first setting on the Nitecore. You can see a reflection of our friend Johnny's head out there by the shed. Try it with the Thrunite. Not as bright, so compare those two. Nitecore, Thrunite, definitely dimmer with the Thrunite. Let's go to the next setting with your Nitecore. I mean, you can really see quite a bit there. Next setting with your Thrunite. And again, look, compare the two. Nitecore, Thrunite. Let's go to the next setting with the Nitecore. Lighting up even more there. There's your Thrunite, Nitecore, Thrunite. Definitely getting a lot more flood from this, from the Thrunite here. So you have a little bit of a hot center, but definitely a pretty even, you know, from your center out to your edges, it basically fades out nicely. With the Nitecore, you definitely have a hotter center, and then it fades out. Not as smoothly, I would say. And then here's back to the lowest setting. So again, with your Nitecore, here's lowest, 2, 3, 4, back to your lowest, and your Thrunite now on the highest setting. And we'll scroll through again here. Lowest, 2, 3, 4, and then your 5th setting. So let's go on the highest settings for both these lights. There's your highest for your Nitecore, Thrunite, Nitecore, Thrunite. And then side by side here, just kind of look down at the ground. We're gonna look over at the fence there. Over here is your Thrunite. Over here is your Nitecore. I mean, it's not a huge difference to the human eye. You're not going to see a massive difference between the two. Let me actually aim the camera up now so you can see what it looks like looking up into the trees there. We've got the Thrunite here. Let me go through the cycle. So it's on the lowest setting right now. You really can't see anything out in the trees there. Still can't see anything at the second setting. I mean, I can see it with the human eye, but it's hard to see on camera. Your third setting, you're starting to pick it up there a little bit now. You can see the top of the shed. There's your fourth setting. You can really see the trees. I mean, if there was a raccoon or somebody hanging out in the tree, I'd definitely be able to see them now. And then your fifth setting, even more so. Now we'll go with the Nitecore. First setting, really can't see much. Second setting, still again, can't see much. Starting to see the reflection off the shed. There's your third setting, and then your highest setting. So with this one, again, at this setting, I could definitely see if there's some sort of animal hiding out in the trees. And then with your Thrunite again, same thing. So again, there's your Nitecore, there's your Thrunite, Nitecore, and Thrunite. Alright guys, so I've been kind of racking my brain trying to come up with my, like, you know, who's the winner of these two. And to be honest, I just felt like it's kind of a break-even thing. So there are a couple things I slightly like more about the Nitecore. There's a couple things I slightly like more about the Thrunite. So with the Nitecore, I like your activation switch as far as your modes. I just like this as opposed to this one on the Thrunite. It's not, I wouldn't call it cheap, but it feels cheaper than the Nitecore. When you click it, it just doesn't have the same feel I would want. It just doesn't have the feel I would want ultimately. It's not terrible. It's not going to break, I don't think. It just doesn't have the feel I would like. I prefer the rubber mode switch. For both of these, I like that you have the end activation and then your mode selector. I think that's cool. You're getting more punch out of the Thrunite overall because it does have those 5 settings as opposed to the 4 that the Nitecore has. Size-wise, pretty much the exact same thing. I'm trying to think about the other things. The accessories, kind of a break-even. The charging is pretty much a break-even thing for me. You can see the Nitecore is going to pull sideways, whereas the Thrunite is going to pull, you know, vertically. But there's really, I don't see a huge difference in a lot of those features. Overall, if I was going to EDC one right now, man, it would be. I honestly feel like it would just be a break-even thing. I don't feel like a huge inclination one way or the other between these two lights. Even as I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking as I'm shooting this video and saying, okay, if you had to put, you know, your money down for one, what would you choose? And I'd be like, I feel like if you handed me either one of these and said you got to EDC this, I'd be like, okay, cool. I know the functions, I know the features, from that Firefly setting up to your highest setting. For some people, they're going to like that they don't have 5 settings. They're actually like for that very low and then kind of a bunch of different options in 3 slightly higher settings, and people just don't want the extra, you know, things that you have to fiddle with. I noticed when I made videos on like keychain lights and pen lights and stuff like that, that sometimes people are like, I just like the Streamlight Stylus Pro because boom, you turn it on, one setting, it's good, it's going to work. You don't have to worry about fiddling through a ton of different things. So again, between these two, I pretty much would say a break even when I've done head-to-heads with other nights or other lights, I should say. Did different companies. One did the Phoenix versus the Thrunite for the PD35, and I think it was against the TN12. I actually like the PD35 tack better than I like the TN12. But these, once again, break even. I think you're going to get a nice light from both companies for either one when you pick them up. So I think the major win is for the size. You're going to get a lot of function and also the USB rechargeable capacity. I just think that's really nice. Yeah, so there you go. Nitecore versus Thrunite. I would call them about even. And let's hear your thoughts. If you've used either one of these or you've used both of them, let's hear why you like one or like the other. And let's get the discussion started below. Of course, I'll put links down below if you want to purchase either one of these lights, and doing so would help support the Everyday Tactical Vids channel. So thank you for doing that. Thanks for checking out the video. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Just click that little red subscribe button right now, and you'll be part of the Everyday Tactical Vids community and getting updates when new videos come out and stuff like that. All right, thanks for checking out the video as always. Take care. See you soon.